As I stared at the email on my laptop screen, my voice was barely audible, questioning, "There's no job in London, is there?" The correspondence between Daniel and a woman named Kate revealed months of deceit, unraveling a web of lies. My husband stood silent in our barren living room, empty because we had sold everything to start anew, and his silence spoke louder than any words might have. My name is Celine Harris, and until now, I believed I was embarking on an exciting new career chapter as a financial analyst at Parker and Reed in Minneapolis. I had built a solid career over 10 years, but 3 months ago, Daniel came home, bubbling with news about a stunning opportunity in London. I supported him without hesitation, because that's what partners do, right? Believe in each other. I sold my home, the first one I had owned, and donated furniture I painstakingly picked out. I even parted with my grandmother's antique mirror, the only thing I had left of her, as Daniel insisted we needed to travel light. Now I realized why he pressed so hard for me to liquidate everything. "How long?" I questioned, my voice steady now, anger replacing the shock. "How long have you been scheming with her?" Daniel shuffled uncomfortably, glancing at his packed suitcase by the door. "Celine, how long?" 8 months, he admitted. "Kate and it just happened, then the plan just grew." Grew, as if it was a natural progression to systematically ruin your wife's life. I felt nauseous thinking about their methodical planning, waiting until I'd sold everything, converted all our assets, and stripped away every safety net. "The money's already gone, isn't it?" I asked, already knowing. As a financial analyst, I should have seen the signs, but love blinds you, and I trusted him utterly. "You'll land on your feet," Daniel said, reaching for his suitcase. "You always do." As he walked out, something shifted inside me. He was right about one thing. I always landed on my feet, and this time would be no different. As the door closed, I opened my laptop, ready to type. Daniel had no idea who he was dealing with. We met 6 years ago at a financial tech conference in Minneapolis. I was impressed by his ambition and drive. He worked for a smaller firm but had big dreams. Little did I know his ambition would consume everything, including our marriage. Reflecting, I can see the red flags I ignored, like how he always seemed to take more than he gave. When we first married, I had just received a significant promotion at Parker and Reed. Instead of celebrating my achievement, Daniel convinced me to invest my bonus in his consulting business. "It's for our future," he said. I believed him. That was my first mistake, but not the last. For years I supported his ventures financially and emotionally. After his first business failed, I worked overtime to keep us afloat. When he wanted another attempt, I took a loan against my 401k. Each time he promised change. Each time I believed. "Celine, my cousin Na warned last year over coffee. Isn't it odd that Daniel never includes you in his business decisions? You are a financial analyst." I defended him, saying, "Of course, he doesn't want to burden me. Besides, he's my husband. I trust him." Trust. What a naive concept it seems now. The signs were there. The late garage calls, unexplainable business trips, his encouragement to sell my assets months ago under the guise of simplifying our lives. I nearly had $400,000 in equity from the house sale plus another $200,000. All my savings from retirement accounts and investments were turned into cash, following his advice to simplify the international move. Yet, all of it vanished, transferred into inaccessible accounts. An analyst by profession, I spent my days examining financial patterns for corporations worth millions, spotting irregularities, and preventing fraud. Still, I failed to notice the deceit unfolding at home. Sitting in our barren rental house, surrounded by just packed boxes and shattered dreams, I felt a change within. I might have been oblivious before, but now my eyes were fully opened. What I planned to do next would make Daniel regret ever underestimating me. With trembling hands, I delved deeper into Daniel's email history, uncovering layers of their plot. Kate, more than just a lover, was an ex-client aiding him in everything. Meticulously, they orchestrated our asset liquidation. 6 weeks ago, Daniel wrote to her, the wife as suspect nothing. She's too engrossed in planning our fictitious London life to notice anything else. Almost makes me feel bad for her almost. The words nonchalance made my stomach turn. I printed everything, my analytical mind springing to action. Their exchanges revealed a clear narrative. While I was selling our house in Minneapolis, they were setting up their new life in Austin, purchasing a property there with my funds. The deed, registered in Kate's name, was dated just 3 days ago. My phone beeped with a message from Daniel. "I'm sorry it concluded this way. I've left signed divorce documents with my lawyer. It's best for both of us to do this quickly and smoothly." Like ripping a Band-Aid off, unceremoniously, he'd taken everything, leaving me amid boxes and a rental house beyond my budget. I frantically called Parker and Reed, my hands trembling. Linda, my manager, answered on the second ring. "I need help," I confessed, my voice cracking. "I can't attend the London client meeting next month because there is no London." I divulged the entire ordeal. Linda paused before responding. "Celine, listen carefully. What Daniel and his accomplice have done is not only morally reprehensible but criminal fraud. You must contact law enforcement immediately and reach out to your bank. I'm sending you the number of a reputable lawyer. Use it. Also, your job is protected. Take any time you need." Tears fell not from sorrow, but relief of finding an anchor amid chaos. Hours blurred with non-stop calls to police, banks, lawyers, each conversation emphasizing the scale of Daniel's betrayal. But the call from my bank was the final blow. "Mrs. Harris, the majority of transfers were approved by you," the fraud representative gently remarked, "as you voluntarily liquidated and moved the assets. Options are limited." I disconnected and surveyed the empty house, stripped bare intentionally for our fresh start. In the waning afternoon light, my reflection in the window appeared unfamiliar, yet resolute. I was a financial analyst adept at tracking monetary flows, equipped with connections and skills beyond Daniel's knowledge. Assuming victory, he made his gravest error. For the ensuing week, I operated out of my cousin Nina's guest room, converting it into an impromptu detective's hub, walls lined with printouts, bank statements, property deeds, and email trails. Late nights were spent tracing Daniel's financial trail. "You need rest," Nina chided one morning, offering coffee with concern at the dark circles under my eyes. "I can't rest," I countered, eyes glued to another bank statement. "Not while they're enjoying my money in Austin." By then, I had tracked the biggest transfer, $380,000, across 3 different accounts. While I was sleeping on an air mattress, they were likely furnishing their new home with pricey decor, a house bought in Kate's name with money funneled through various banks. The realization made my blood boil. My lawyer, Sarah Mitchell, contacted me with news that worsened the situation. She explained the police were considering the matter as civil because I had apparently authorized the transfers and there was evidence I knew about the accounts. I interrupted, explaining he had told me they were for our move, our new life in London. Sarah understood but noted proving fraud would be challenging. "These cases are often a matter of she said, and the paper trail seemingly showed my consent. Feeling defeated, I ended the call. That evening, I made my first misstep by calling Daniel. "You won't get away with this," I declared. He laughed. "Get away with what? You signed everything willingly. Check the paperwork, Celine. You're the financial expert." I vowed to fight, to take him to court. "With what money?" he replied confidently. "Face it, Celine, it's over. Move on." Once he hung up, I broke down for the first time, letting all the stress and humiliation overwhelm me. Na found me amidst the scattered papers, sobbing, "I've lost everything. My home, my savings, my retirement." "Not everything," she countered. "You still have your skills, your intelligence, and you have me." She was right about my skills. As I wiped my tears, a plan began to form. Although Daniel manipulated me personally, professionally, I still excelled at Parker and Reed. I had access to advanced financial tracking tools capable of tracing money trails more efficiently than personal bank investigations. The next morning, I called Linda. "I need some vacation days and a favor." Linda listened as I shared my plan. You understand you're asking to use company resources for personal reasons, which breaches policy, she noted. I quietly acknowledged, reminding her of how many times my work had saved the company millions and how I never asked for anything until now. After a pause, she granted me 2 weeks, advising caution and legality. Buoyed by newfound energy, I realized Daniel thought he had broken me, but he underestimated me. A woman adept at tracking financial trails. Using Parker and Reed's sophisticated software after hours felt wrong, but this quest transcended money. It was about justice. The same programs I use daily to trace corporate fraud unveiled flaws in Daniel and Kate's operations. They got sloppy, I told Na at breakfast. Kate's attempts to obscure the money trail involved a consistent pattern, transferring funds every 3 days in specific amounts, which the software flagged instantly. But the most shocking revelation emerged as I delved deeper. Daniel and Kate had orchestrated a small Ponzi scheme through his consulting firm, deceiving at least 6 others before targeting me. My hands trembled as I reviewed the evidence, names, dates, amounts. I wasn't their first victim, merely their largest haul to date. I contacted Sarah immediately, who confirmed, this changes everything. It's no longer just a divorce dispute. It's wire fraud and investment fraud. This is now federal territory. I was hesitant to contact the authorities immediately, as I needed more evidence and had another plan. I first reached out to Marcus, a former college friend now working at the bank where Kate had opened her new account. Over coffee, I presented what I discovered. Jesus, Celine, he exclaimed, reviewing the papers. This is some serious business. I know, I said. That's why I need your assistance. The subsequent events unfolded like a series of dominoes. Marcus flagged Kate's account for unusual activity, prompting an automatic freeze just as they were closing on another investment property. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Within a few hours, I received a text from an unknown number. What did you do? It was Kate, clearly panicked for the first time. I didn't reply, instead, forwarding all my gathered evidence to the other victims I'd identified. They began to come forward, each with a tale of betrayal. That evening, Linda rang me. Celine, the FBI has reached out about some suspicious transactions you've flagged in our system. I took a moment. I can explain everything. No need, she interrupted. I've informed them you had my permission to use the software. They want a meeting with you tomorrow. That night, I sat in Nina's guest room, staring at my laptop, realizing I had one last trump card. During college, Daniel made a crucial mistake, using the same password for all his accounts, including his email. With a few clicks, I accessed it and found everything. Every conversation with Kate, each scheme they devised, all the lies they uttered. After downloading it all, my finger hovered over the send button. With one click, I could disseminate it to his entire professional network. I recalled how he confidently mocked me over the phone. The old Celine might have hesitated or shown mercy, but I wasn't her anymore. I pressed send. The reaction was swift and devastating. Hours after sending those emails, Daniel's professional sphere disintegrated. His clients, colleagues, and business partners saw the evidence of his fraudulent activities. His phone must have been bombarded with messages because he finally messaged me, "You've destroyed me. Are you satisfied now?" I looked at his text with nothing but resolute determination. No. Daniel, I'm just beginning. The FBI meeting the following morning was rigorous. Seated in a sterile room, I meticulously explained everything I had unearthed to 2 agents. They were especially interested in the fraudulent pattern affecting multiple victims. Mrs. Harris, Agent Robert stated, your findings suggest this isn't an isolated case, but a complex criminal operation. I gave them my crucial evidence, a spreadsheet detailing each transaction, each victim, and every dollar trail. They thought they could stay hidden, I clarified, but money invariably leaves traces if you know where to look. Then events took an unforeseen twist. Agent Robert pushed a document toward me. We've been monitoring Ms. Catherine Bennett, Kate, for over a year. She's been involved in similar scams across 3 states. My heart skipped a beat.
What?
She's a seasoned con artist, he continued, And it appears your husband was not only her partner, but possibly her victim, too. The room felt like it was spinning. Could Daniel have been used as well? Had Kate manipulated him as she did to me? Before I could digest this revelation, my phone buzzed with an urgent message from Marcus. Kate's trying to withdraw from the frozen accounts. She's causing a scene at the bank right now. I apologized and immediately called Marcus. She's threatening to sue, he detailed. She's got a lawyer with her. Don't release anything, I emphasized. The FBI is now involved. There's more, Marcus added, his voice taut. She's claiming the funds were legitimate business investments with documentation bearing your signature. I felt a chill. I had signed papers Daniel handed to me, supposedly related to our move to London. Those were signed under false pretenses, I argued, trying to make sense of it all. Rushing back into the conference room, I found the FBI agents on the verge of leaving. Kate's at Meridian Bank right now, I blurted out, hinting at her attempt to access some accounts. They exchanged uneasy glances. Mrs. Harris, Agent Robert spoke cautiously, you must realize something. If any actions you've taken toe the line of legality. Everything I've done is above board. I cut him off. Tracking finances is precisely my role. As they exited promptly, a gnawing apprehension settled in. Had my quest for revenge led me to overstep my bounds? I reached for my phone, dialing Sarah, my lawyer. Just as the call connected, a new message from Daniel buzzed in. You don't know what you've ignited. Kate isn't who you think, and now we're both at risk. For the first time since diving into this ordeal, fear crept in. What mess had I truly walked into? In the wake of a sleepless night, weighing every possibility, I resolved to meet with Daniel. I needed clarity on the full nature of Kate's involvement if what the FBI claimed were accurate. Nina found my choice reckless. He'll just manipulate you again, she cautioned, but I wasn't the same gullible woman he'd once deceived. I arranged a meeting at a bustling coffee shop near Nina's house, ensuring it was in a public place. As Daniel entered, his aura was drastically altered. He seemed haunted, anxiety-ridden. Kate's gone, he began abruptly, taking a seat across from me. She'd wiped out everything she could reach before their accounts were locked down, even selling their house. How's it feel to be the one left with nothing? I asked coolly. His hands, trembling, placed a USB drive on the table. I've documented everything, he confessed. Every transaction, every conversation, every plan of hers. I thought it was insurance, but she's consistently been multiple steps ahead. I glanced at the drive, then at my shattered husband. Seizing the moment, I contacted Agent Roberts while Daniel looked on, visibly paling. I have the evidence you need, I declared, and a cooperating witness ready to testify. Daniel slumped, aware of his fate. Kate, though having successfully fled with some funds, lost her partner and her facade. Daniel would soon understand that betrayal carried its penalties, inescapably. The aftermath unraveled swiftly. Daniel's account and the evidence led the FBI to Kate, captured in Miami as she attempted to escape to the Cayman Islands. She'd left a trail of accounts in 5 states, targeting victims over 6 years. For his cooperation, Daniel negotiated a reduced sentence, 5 years instead of 15. At their hearings, I sat quietly at the back as they were taken away, handcuffed. The closure I felt was devoid of joy or sadness. Agent Roberts later assured, the funds will be recuperated and returned to the victims. It'll take time, but reclamation is assured. Promoted by Parker and Reed to lead their new anti-fraud unit, my exposure of Kate's deceit inspiring this path, I moved on. I bought a modest home in a tranquil neighborhood, a space that at last was entirely mine. Nina aided in my move, arranging furniture and hanging decor one sunlit Saturday. You know what? I mused, unpacking books. Daniel always accused me of being overly naive. Patently, my trust had simply been misplaced. Now, with a self-assured smile directed at my reflection, everything felt earned from scratch. I trusted myself fully. Later, standing in the kitchen of my newfound sanctuary, I raised a glass to my reflection in the window. The woman staring back was fortitudinously transformed, embracing newfound wisdom and fortitude, completely free.